back to another MaizePlus video, and today I want to do a comparison of subsoiling the grass using Grassland Subsoiler, which is one of my favourite bits of MaizePlus, versus ploughing the grass in and replanting in terms of speed of regrowth. So I have just mown this field, picked up all the grass off of it, and we're going to do a side-by-side comparison. Kind of doing this because if you've got big grass fields, subsoiling them with a 3-meter subsoiler that goes pretty slow can take quite a long time. So my approach to that in the past has been to run multiples on course plate. Sometimes run, I think 2 is the most I've run, but I did notice a while ago, it was on my comms Let's Plays when I accidentally went over some grass with a plow or a seeder or something, and I had to reseed the grass. That actually from this state the growth I think is the same, so that's what we're going to test. So while course plate runs the Grassland Subsoiler around, I am going to plow, reseed and roll this field, so essentially getting them both to the same state. And we'll just see how it goes. I'm turning rocks off because generally running the Grassland Subsoiler you want rocks off because it acts as a subsoiler or a plow. It can produce rocks, field stones, so you want that turned off anyway. So I think that's a fair comparison. And I'm using a cheaty plow because why not? So my thoughts on this: if you're farming at a smaller scale, then running the 3-meter subsoil around probably a good option. So I really like it. Gives you fertilization as well. You don't have to replant. But if you've got a big farm with some big pastures, then maybe quicker to go the route of plowing them in and reseeding, particularly if you already have a big plow and a big seeder and a big roller. If you're running a big farm, quite often you'll have all of that kit anyway. So I'm not considering cost. Any of this is purely the growth and speed of growth. So we'll see how we get on. And as I say, this is a test that I've wanted to do for a little while. I was going to do it as part of my Greenlands Let's Play, but the timing didn't quite work out with where I was. So because it's quite specifically I'm testing from the freshly mown state. So if you start a save and you've got fields and they aren't in a position where you're going to mow them first, then subsoil them because it doesn't destroy the crop. So you can subsoil a fully grown field and it will take away the needs of ploughing state. It doesn't affect the growth, which is kind of useful. But in this position, I think it's going to work out that they're similar, but we will see. Kind of know because I'm recording the voiceover afterwards, but let's not spoil the immersion, shall we? So yeah, this is one of the things that I've wanted to test for a while. I really like the Grassland Subsoiler. I have used it a reasonable amount, but as I was saying, on the Greenland save that I had some big pastures that all needed ploughing. And we were at the start of the year, so I was doing it in February. Actually, I planted the grass in March, so it's probably going up a state behind. But yeah, I had 3 or 4 big fields that all needed ploughing, and so rather than subsoiling, which I think would have taken quite a while, I went the plough and reseed route. With the time that I did it, I think I probably have lost out on a growth state, but if you do it at the point where you've just cut the grass, we'll see whether it makes a difference or not. It's kind of, to me, it makes it almost, it's personal choice as to which way you want to do it. You could, if you have enough tractors, because the Grassland Subsoiler only needs 120, maybe less than that horsepower. It doesn't need a lot of horsepower. If you've got a bunch of tractors, you could just go and lease a bunch of these and have some of them running on course play. If you've got a lot of fields to do, it'd probably take you about as long. But it just depends on what you want to do. And I wanted to check because a lot of people have asked for a bigger version of the Grassland Subsoiler or swad lifter, and I don't think you're going to get one, at least not probably not from the MaizePlus guys, and if someone wanted to make one, they'd have to get permission to use the scripts and stuff. So the reason that they haven't made a bigger one is realism. There might be slightly bigger ones available, but and I kind of get Paul's logic on this because we have chatted about it a few times on streams. You're pulling blades through the earth, they're quite deep, and you don't want to damage the turf or the swath, I guess, that you're trying to lift, and so there's only so much power you can put through the wheels before you start to have wheel slip and tearing and that kind of thing, and you don't want that. So that's why they've kept it with the 3-meter one. I guess if you were really wanted to do it, you could use the real speed mod to go at unreal speeds, because that's my experience with the real speed mod is it's generally to not go at real speeds. But yeah, you could use that to travel a bit faster if you wanted, but as is, it's quite small and goes quite slow because of the job that it's doing. It's realistic to have small and slow. So we're now replanting the grass. So I've got this nice Lemkin Solitaire 12.8 off of ModHub. So it's the 8-meter version of the Lemkin Solitaire cedar. Nice bit of kit. I do like the Lemkin kit. But yeah, again, if you've got a big farm, you might have an even bigger cedar to make this job even quicker. But it felt like a nice size for the field. And actually, I'm not even sure the two fields are the same size. And this really wasn't about comparing the time that they take, although that is a factor. Because the time that it takes you to plow and reseed is a function of how big your kit is and how much you can have going on. So for me, it's about that trade-off of the growth. And so if the growth is the same, then it's down to if you've got a big farm and you've got big plows and big subsoilers, and big seeders, then it's probably going to be much quicker to plow it and reseed it than it is to subsoil it. To achieve the same in-game result, you might achieve a different real-world result. I'm not sure. I guess in both you're kind of aerating the soil, but you're going to end up with a fresh growth rather than an old growth of grass. I don't know. I really don't. So we're going to grab a roller because I forgot about that. And quite often I use the seedbed reconciliation mod because I prefer it because it's a bit lazier. I will say though that recently I have seen with some of the kind of spring planting, it's not very springy here today, but some of the spring planting that I've seen going on, I have seen the local farmers out with rollers, so that does make me want to do it more. I predominantly roll to get rid of the needs rolling indicator. The actual benefit, the yield gain, is tiny in real terms, so by the time you've stacked on fertilizing and weeding and all that kind of thing, the actual gain is really small. But I don't like having that big blue blotch over the field, and when you stand in it, it needs rolling bit. So that's why I tend to do it. And I think with something like a grass field, particularly where you're going to have it there probably the whole of your Let's Play, it's definitely worth the time to do. If you're not running the seedbed reconciliation mod, which rolls for you as you go, which is a really nice idea. I wonder if there's a seeder roller combo that you could do both in one pass without having the seedbed reconciliation mod. I've not looked. I guess the other option is you could just run the roller tractor on courseplay behind you. Because this obviously is PC specific because it's MaizePlus, not just, it's MaizePlus, so it's PC specific, so you could use courseplay. As we are with the subsoiler, and the Grassland Subsoiler is just about done. It looks like it's got 1 or 2 more passes to go. we've got a couple of passes with the roller, so these fields are similar size. We've not used ridiculous kit, and it's taken about the same amount of time. I think if you, as I said, for small pastures, I think I'd break out the Grassland Subsoiler. Even for kind of medium-sized ones, because I just run 2. You know, and with, you know, you can still use courseplay with the 2 implements and drive 1 yourself. You just follow along and fill in the gaps, essentially. I've done that a few times, so it's not that you know, if you want to play the game, you can. But you can still use courseplay to help speed it up by having it do half the work, you know. And I think it always looks quite cool having multiple tractors working in fields. So yeah, it's quite often how I've done that with harvests on, I think the last one I did was on Ohio, where I did a two combine courseplay course, and then I ran the second combine, because you can do that, particularly if you're using like guidance steering or the GPS that's built into VCA. Works really well. So the swath lifter is on its last run. We have 2 short runs to go, so time wise pretty much the same. So now it's just a case of checking whether the growth is any quicker or slower. So I've got seasonal growth is on, that shouldn't make a difference, and I'm on 1 day months, which again won't make a difference. It just means I have to skip less days or months. And yeah, we'll jump ahead a bit. I'm going to jump all the way ahead. Well, I'll take you through, going through until we get to the last harvest ready state, because that's kind of the most obvious point where you can see, if you're not mega familiar with the grass textures, yeah, it hasn't taken too long to turn around these 2 little grass fields. So I do love the lizard cheaty plow. It is one of the best inventions of plowing in the game. And don't get me wrong, I do quite enjoy sitting plowing fields properly. You can see that quite a lot in some of my Let's Plays. So actually, I was going to say thank you to the patrons and the YouTube channel members. Thank you for supporting the channel before we skip ahead. So the fact that they both need lime is irrelevant to growth. They will both still grow properly without lime. So we're just now going to skip ahead a few days and see what happens. Days or months, they are the same thing in this. Do wish you could skip the nights quicker, but it's better than waiting. So to me, these both look the same. There are only 3 states of grass growth, but we'll skip ahead again just to check. So I'm pretty sure that the conclusion is that if you've just cut the grass will regrow as quickly with replanting it, plowing it and replanting it versus using the subsoiler, because the next, you know, there are very few grass growth states, so it just catches up instantly. So yeah, it's really down to personal choice and I guess scale. If you've got monstrous fields and the monstrous kit that goes with them, then I would do plowing. I think if you've got smaller to medium sized fields and you've got, you know, I would go Grassland Subsoiler because it's cool. But yeah, you can see there is no difference in the growth state between the 2. So it's yeah, it is entirely personal choice. I'm just going to get the weather a little bit better just so we can see it in some nice weather. I should have just done what I end up doing, which is to use F12, because this rain is kind of set in a bit like at home at the moment. So yeah, there you go. You can see max harvest ready state on both at the same time. So yeah, as I say, down to personal choice. So if you enjoyed this video, please click the like button, comments, questions, suggestions below, and I will see you next time for another farming simulator video.